Today we're going to do the 9-6 practice buddy. We're going to start out with number 1, find the quotient, use a model or number line to help. It's 6 divided by 1/4. Again, we are going to do the keep, change, flip. We are going to keep our first fraction the same, which is our 6. To make it a fraction, really, it's 6/1. For the C and change, we're going to change the division sign to multiplication. And the F for flip, we are going to flip the second fraction or use its reciprocal, so it becomes 4/1. Now we just have a multiplication problem that we need to solve. Top times the top, bottom times the bottom. 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1. 24 divided by 1 is just 24. So we're going to type in our answer as 24 and move on to question 2. Question 2 is 1/2 divided by 8. Again, we're going to use the old keep, change, flip because it is a division problem with fractions. Our first fraction we're going to keep the same, so 1/2 stays the same. We are going to change the division sign to multiplication. And then we are going to flip the second fraction. Well, we don't have a fraction yet. We just have a whole number, so we have to put a 1 under it to make it a fraction. Now we just flip it. It becomes 1/8. Now we're ready to multiply. Top times the top, bottom times the bottom. 1 times 1 is 1. 8 times 2 is 16. So our answer is going to be 1/16. On to question 3. Henish has a piece of rope that is 5 feet long. She cuts it into 1/4 foot pieces. How many pieces does she have? Use the number line to help you. All right, so we're taking each one and we're cutting it. Well, what did we start with? Well, we started with 5 feet of rope. And we cut it, which means to divide. And what are we cutting it into? 1/4 pieces. 1/4 foot pieces. So here's our problem. Again, we have a division problem involving a fraction. So we are going to use keep, change, flip. We are going to keep the first fraction the same, which is the 5. Well, we have to turn it into a fraction, which is 5/1. So keep it the same. It's 5/1. We are going to change the division sign to multiplication. All right, that was easy. Then we're going to flip the second fraction. 1/4 is going to become 4/1. That's the reciprocal when we flip it. Now we just have to do the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom. 5 times 4 is 20. 1 times 1 is 1. 20 divided by 1 is just 20. So we're going to have 20 pieces of rope. On to question 4. Evan has a stamp collection album with 365 pages. Each stamp is displayed on 1/4 of a page. How many stamps will fit in his album? Okay, so we're taking each page and we're cutting it into fourths because each stamp takes 1/4 of the page. So we are going to start with what we have. We have 365 pages. What are we doing? We're splitting those pages into fourths because 4 stamps can fit on each page. So we are going to divide it by 1/4. Again, we have a division problem that involves a fraction. So we're going to use keep, change, flip. We're going to keep the first fraction the same, which is really 365/1. Keep it the same. We're going to change the division sign to multiplication. Then we're going to flip the second number. Now we're ready to multiply. Top times the top, bottom times the bottom. 4 times 5 is 20. Regroup my 2. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 2 is 26. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. So our answer is 1,460 over 1, which is just 1,460 stamps. So our book album will handle 1,460 stamps. On to question 5. Suppose a trailer home requires 1/8 of a square mile of land. How many trailer homes can be built on 6 square miles of land? Okay, so we have a total of 6 square miles, and we can put a trailer home on 1/8 of that land. How many can we do? Well, what do we start with? Well, we start with our 6 square miles. What are we doing to it? We're cutting it into smaller pieces to put trailer homes on it. Cutting means to divide. And we're going to divide it by 1/8. Again, we have a division problem involving a fraction. We use keep, change, flip to turn it into multiplication. Keep the first fraction the same. Well, it's not a fraction yet, so we have to put a whole number over 1. So it becomes 6 over 1. Change the division sign to multiplication. Flip the second one. Top times the top, bottom times the bottom. 6 times 8, 48. 1 times 1 is 1. Our answer is just going to be 48 trailer homes. On to question 6. Helena modeled a division problem on the number line. What division problem did she model? Find the quotient. Well, it looks like the whole thing, if you look at the red line, is 1/5. So she started with 1/5, and then she put some cuts in it. Those are the dotted lines. And it looks like she cut it into 3 pieces. Because I can see 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece. So it looks like she cut it into 3 pieces. So if we take 1/5 and we cut it into 3 pieces, we really have 1/5 divided by 3. Well, what is 1/5 divided by 3? Well, keep, change, flip. 1/5 times 1/3. So I flip that second one. 1 times 1, 5 times 3. Looks like our answer is 1/15. Anders has 3 tubes of red dye and 5 tubes of blue dye. How many shirts can she dye purple with the dye she has if both colors are needed to make 1 purple shirt? Explain your reasoning. And it says the amount of dye needed for 1 purple shirt. The red dye is needed 1/7 of a pint, and the blue dye needs 1/4 of a pint. So Anders has enough red dye to make. All right, so red dye, Anders started with 3 tubes, and the red dye, you're going to cut that tube into 1/7 to see how many shirts you can make. So we need to do 3 divided by 1/7. which is really 3 over 1, times, flip it, 7 over 1, which is 21 over 1, which is 21 shirts. So we could make 21 purple shirts with the red dye. Now, with the blue dye, we started with 5 tubes of blue dye. So we're going to start with our 5. And for the blue dye, it takes 1/4 of the tube. So we have to do 5 divided by 1/4, which is really 5 over 1. Change the sign, flip it, which is 20 over 1, which equals 20. So we can make 20 purple shirts total with the amount of blue dye that we have. All right, so since 20, which is the blue, is less than 21, which is the red dye, we can only make 20 shirts because we didn't have enough blue dye to make the last shirt, the 21st shirt with the red one. So we can only make 20. All right, let's see how we did today. All right, today we actually got them all correct. Good job, everybody.